space users to safely use the trails. However, in August 2023, a city staffer stated there would be no enforcement. So I want to thank you for listening to my 3 concerns, and thank you for the service that you provide to the city of Walnut Creek by serving on the Pros Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as there's no one else in the audience tonight, we're going to move on to the consent calendar and the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on October 7th, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of previous meeting.
Second?
I second the motion.
Secretary Vickers?
Yes. I'll call roll. Commissioner Pinkstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Oler?
Yes.
Commissioner Conson?
Yes.
Commissioner Garland?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cook?
Yes.
Chair Moran?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, next on the agenda is a presentation from Secretary Vickers. Corey, I think, as well. Jump in there.
Yes, thank you. And for the record, my name is Mike Vickers. I'm Public Works Manager for the City of Walnut Creek. And tonight I will be providing a update on the Parks and Open Space, and Corey will be assisting me with the presentation. So we're going to provide an overview of the achievements, the recent achievements, the ongoing initiatives, and upcoming projects. And this is more of an annual update, so feel free to ask questions and provide comments at the end. Thank you. So we're going to talk about the parks projects, the open space projects, some future projects that we have in mind, and then some of the open space foundation projects that they've been working on for several decades. So, as many of you know, we're in the process of planning the pool and rec center out at Heather Farm. And due to these improvements, we are going to be losing 2 of the shaded rental picnic spaces. And so we have plans to move those up a little bit further towards the tennis courts. As you can see there, the goal is to recycle as much of those shade structures as we can. The poles are actually they go about 10 feet deep, 4 foot wide, 10 feet deep, sunken concrete. So I don't think we'll be saving those. They'll probably be removed when the project takes place. But the umbrella and the framing that supports the umbrella, we'll be able to move those and save some money there. It was interesting when I was working with USA Shade about these structures. They said in the I can't remember, one of the major hurricanes in Florida, they said the only thing left was their poles. So now you know why. They're 10 feet deep. So we have plans in next summer to move those before the project starts. Along with moving those, we've also have a number of irrigation improvements to make as well. As you can imagine, a lot of that grass area is going to be dug up where the pool's going to go, and so we've got some mainline challenges, some potable water challenges that we'll be moving, along with a few other utilities. So the playgrounds. I was here 2 months ago with all of you talking about the projects that we want to improve the playgrounds at Civic Park and Walden Park. We recently discovered that there's some grant opportunities. I believe back in October I told you I was going to come back in December and possibly February with an update on where we're at. That process is going to slow slightly until we can get our hands around this grant opportunity, just to make sure that we're getting every bit of funding that we can find to make sure that these projects are as successful as possible. Court resurfacing. A couple years ago, we resurfaced the 10, now 11 tennis courts at Heather Farm, and we've heard a lot of feedback over the last, I'll say, 7 or 8 years about some improvements that are needed at Rudgear and both Walden. And so, with the commission's support from the last from the last capital budget, there was $800,000 set aside, and council obviously appropriated that funding. And so we've got the project out to bid. We plan on starting this sometime in the spring. We're going to start it as soon as we can because we don't want it to carry too long into the summer. And it's project going to be run through engineering. I don't believe we're going to do both sets of courts at the same time, but I can confirm that at a future meeting. So as you can see here, you've got Arbolado has the three, actually, they've got the, or I have the park names mixed up there. So Red Gear should be where Arbolado is. So the image on the left-hand side is actually Red Gear. We're going to be resurfacing all three of those courts, and if funding allows, we're going to be painting the basketball court that's adjacent to it there. You can see how kind of the center, the key area is pretty worn out. To the other one on the right-hand side, which is actually Arbolado Park, we're going to be resurfacing those three tennis courts, as well as the basketball court. The basketball court, as long as I've been here, about 15 years, hasn't seen much attention, so it's in much needed need for improvement, and it's actually pretty heavily utilized in the evenings during the summer and also during the summertime itself. So looking forward to that happening. Synthetic turf projects. I should have had both fields here because we're looking at putting synthetic turf in both ball field 1 and 2, not just 1. Those numbers are coming in as we speak, and we'll be updating. We'll be going to council to ask for the project to be awarded on December 17th, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow. The sports field lighting project at Tice Valley Park, that project's already been awarded. The equipment has been ordered, and we're anticipating trenching will start. We were hoping mid-December, but I think it's going to be weather-based. So I would suggest it's probably going to happen in January, February. Those fields will be out of commission. We've been in close talks with the Walnut Creek Soccer Club. So they'll be out of commission for probably a couple months while those lights go in. There's quite a bit of trenching. Some of those trenches in the field are 5 or 6 feet deep, and as you can imagine, I think they're 40-foot poles, maybe 50-foot poles. They also have a pretty deep footing, so they'll need cranes out there and those types of things. So January, February is what I'm suggesting. And
Mike, can you go back 1 second?
Yes, absolutely.
So, the pickleball courts at Tice Valley Gym, those are inside the gym, correct?
There are, I believe, I believe there are temporary lines inside the gym. That's correct.
Okay, and what is the status of our pickleball issue?
So the pickleball issue is currently in the city manager's office as they're working through some opportunities or discussions with the neighbors and the pickleball club. I know that there's pickleball lines in the gym. I don't know if Recreation has opened it up for day play or not, drop-in play or not. I can find that out and put it in the minutes or shoot out an email so people are aware. Any other questions before I turn it over to Corey?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you about synthetic turf project. If it goes to council on the 17th of December and work will start in the new year, when would it be anticipated it would be completed?
So assuming the project is awarded on the 17th, our current construction schedule has the contractor on site sometime between March and April, with construction starting on April 1st and being completed by October.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Right. Good evening, commissioners. Used to a bigger crowd, but I'm sure there's thousands watching from home. So I'm going to update you guys on some of the projects that we have been working on over the last few years or so. A lot of this job maintenance takes up a good portion of the workforce out there. And in the spring and early summer, trail crews or our open space crews are primarily working on weed abatement, mowing our trails and our fire breaks. But outside of mowing season, we're able to work on a lot of different types of improvement projects. And so happy to share with you guys some of those projects that we've been working on over the last couple years. So interpretive signage. So I think one of the great things about our open space is there's a lot of educational opportunities out there. Whether it's the type of wildlife that lives in the open space, the types of plants and trees that make up the habitat, the history. There's a lot of educational opportunities out there. A couple years ago, we started designing, actually I think these went in last year. We started the design process with a company called Acorn, and they helped us design and come up with the wording for these signs. We provided some of the photos for them. So there's been 3 new interpretive signs that have gone up recently, one at Borges Ranch, one near the Marshall Trailhead, and another at the eastern end of Indian Creek Trail. And we are currently working on 3 more signs, one to go in on Indian Creek Trail, one about kind of the geological history of Shell Ridge, and then another one on the cattle ranching history in Shell. So we're excited to see those. They are almost done. We'll probably get those installed sometime early spring is my guess when those will be ready to go in. And other things with these signs is we hope that after people see them and get to read the information on the signs, that they kind of leave with a sense of appreciation for the open space. That's the goal of these.
Can I ask you a question on the signs?
Sure.
So the one that, I guess, it says Voices from the Past, is that ranching, Native American combination?
Voices from the Past. So it's right outside of the branch house at Borges, and it just tells you a little bit about kind of what it would have been like at the ranch in the early 1900s. So Voices from the Past is like the family, the children. It's a very kind of short story on there. But yeah.
Is there any of these signs that are going to talk about the Native Americans?
That sign, the appreciation of the open space, the one in the bottom, or sorry, the gift of the open space in the top right, that one does mention the Miwok population that was here.
Can I just add one point?
Yeah.
So we're also working with one of the tribal groups to add some signage over in Lime Ridge as part of the golf course project. So there's going to be 2 or 3, maybe 4 signs that are going to go around the golf course and also near the trailhead, but at the end of Valley Vista. Yep.
Okay. So Indian Creek Trail improvements. This is one of my favorite trails out in the open space. We have a trail that runs along the creek, and the creek runs through it, and I mean that quite literally in several spots. There were a number of opportunities to make improvements, and we've done so with some bridges. We've removed some culverts and added some bridges. So far, we've added 3 of these foot bridges out on Indian Creek Trail, and overall, I really think it helps improve the habitat of the creek. You know, there's lots of amphibians that live and get down into the creek bed and really rely on that and that habitat. And so we're helping keep the waterways clear and clean by adding these bridges. And not only do they allow people to pass through without getting muddy during the wintertime when the trails are wet, they improve the overall health of the creek too. And so we've got plans to add at least 3 more of these bridges. We're kind of been a big focus of ours, Indian Creek Trail. It's a very popular trail out there. A lot of hikers, a lot of through traffic on that one. And so moving on with Indian Creek Trail. This was a big project we took on fairly recently. It was several years in the making. Kind of wanted to improve this area maybe 4 or 5 years ago. didn't necessarily have everything in line to be able to do it. But we did. And as you can see, this is what the outlet of Indian Creek Trail looks like before you get to Indian Valley Pond after a big rain. So there's about 250, 270 feet of trail that would get flooded out after big rains. It made it pretty unpassable. And then the outlet area where it kind of opened up before you got to Indian Valley Pond would get flooded out. And every year, this section of trail would be closed down for weeks at a time, just depending on how much rain we got. And so there was, as you can see from the photos, a definite need for improvements there. And so what we did is we worked with the Open Space Foundation, and a big thanks to Sean McAuliffe. He donated a lot of his time to help us work through these schematics and help plan the layout of this project. So we really appreciate his time. But what we did, the plan was to remove sediment from the open area in the photo on the right, and then the second photo. So we removed soil from that area and used that soil to elevate the trail tread, going back to the all the way where it begins the flooding. With that trail elevation, we had to armor it to protect it, and that involved moving lots and lots of rocks. And we also planned on restoring the creek channel and then adding some hardened crossings where we had some drainages and water flowing into the trail itself. So this is some photos of what it looked like of staff doing this work. And this work was all done in-house with the equipment we have in the open space division, and then no contractors, all staff doing this work. Overall, it took us about 3 weeks, working pretty much all day, 4 days a week or so. And so this is kind of the process of moving all that soil out of that open area down the trail to elevate it.
Can I stop you real quick?
Sure.
So is that going to fill up? Yeah, these pictures are here. Is this?
It'll fill up with water?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, we dropped the, we probably moved 2 to 4 feet, depending on the spot, worth of soil from that whole area, deepened it by about that much. So it's hard to tell from these photos, but there's a definite, there's going to be a little bit of a pond there. So it's going to be a little bit of a wetland, and it's going to hold water a lot better than it did. That water gets pushed out into Indian Valley Pond and then down into Lakewood. Yeah, so what we did was move the trail. So on the bottom right photo, the trail goes off to the right. And before it had just kind of gone straight through that area. And like I said, it was impassable. It was a big mess in there during the winter time.
Did it pass the test last week?
There's a little bit of water in there. It's holding a little bit of water, so we'll see. We're gonna need a few big rains before we actually see some real progress over there. But it's cool. We're starting to see vegetation grow back on the trail, and I think it's gonna look really good. And I'm excited to see what it looks like after we get a bunch of rain this year, and then going into next year. I think it's gonna be a really nice looking area. So this is the armoring part of the job, the project. We moved about 15 to 20 tons of rock to line this trail. Most of the rock was sourced from a local landscape company, and we did source some of it from Lime Ridge as well as part of the golf course project. They had tons of rock left over, so we were able to source some of that. Yeah, so this is what it looked like to move those rocks down into that trail, move them with a dingo, put them in place, and yeah, it turned out really well. This is an armored crossing. This is on the Fossil Hill Loop Trail right before you get into Indian Valley Pond. So the outlet of Indian Creek passes over the Fossil Hill Loop, and this is that section. It's another section that would traditionally get pretty mucky and wet after big rains and just kind of stay that way. A lot of people would kind of skirt around it or hop. You would see logs and stuff set out there during the wet season that people could kind of climb over. So this is a way to really direct that water flow over that section of the trail, and then when you get to it, it's going to be armored with rock. So it's like a big puzzle put together. As the first type of armored crossing that we've done in the open space like this, and there's going to be a few more areas I think that we plan on doing this type of work. But it was a very, very cool project to see through. I'm happy with how it turned out. Still focused on Indian Creek. As part of this project, we went through and did a lot of debris removal in the creek bed itself. Staff spent probably 3 days clearing these log jams like you see in the photo. Left is obviously before, right is after. A lot of big oaks come down in that creek bed and really clog things up. So as part of this restoration of the creek channel, we went through and removed a lot of these blockages, and it should help things flow through there nicely. So keeping on the trend of water, going back all the way to 2018, we've had a number of desilting projects going on in the open space, including the Bayberry area, Joaquin, and Sulphur Creek ponds. These projects were in partnership with NRCS. We received some funding from a grant from them to help get these projects done, and these projects were all contracted out. And the Joaquin Pond is in a grazing area. Bayberry is not. Part of the Bayberry project was installing a culvert and some rock riprap to help prevent so much sediment from being washed down into the Bayberry Pond. And so that was all included in the Bayberry project. All right, grazing updates. So in the past year, we've had a movement away from e-fencing for a number of reasons. We've updated some infrastructure, including adding some almost a mile worth of water line in Shell Ridge from Brodea Way all the way down towards Borges. Not quite all the way to Borges. Along that water line, we added 3 troughs and 2 water tanks, and this will allow for grazing into the north side of Shell Ridge. And we haven't had grazing over there in several years. Some other grazing updates, we've added some new gates and a graded bike ramp like you see in the photo in the top right. You can see in that photo that there's a graded bike ramp. That's the first of its kind to go into our open space area. We do believe it'll help out with the issue of gates being propped open. Traditionally, you see that happen a lot. Mountain bikers, I don't blame them. I wouldn't like to get off my bike either when I'm cruising through. So we think that adding these bike ramps is going to be a good way to help kind of ease the flow through there. And we've got a couple more locations where bike ramps will be going in. This gate setup at the top right was donated to the open space. And we've also installed some new signage in our grazing areas, and you can see the language there.
Can you explain why you're moving away from electric fences?
Yeah, so it was a big maintenance for the cattle rancher that runs the operation. Had a real hard time, difficult time keeping up with it. Staff was constantly chasing cows all over the place when they would get out of the electrical fenced areas. So its effectiveness was debatable. Certain times of the year when the ground wasn't wet, the electrical fencing didn't have that much of a charge, so the animals were figuring out that they could just brush through it and there wasn't much of a consequence. So really, it became a lot for staff to help out with, and also for the rancher to manage. So we're going to be grazing during the summer months only out in the open space. So cows are going to be in the open space from approximately May, June, and then typically out by end of October, early November, just depending on the rains. The primary reason there was a movement towards e-fencing was because cows were causing damage to the trail system itself, especially during the wintertime. So there's going to be a real effort to make sure that doesn't happen again, and make sure that we're keeping cows off of the trails when it's wet. So that's why they're only going to be out there in the summertime. So
Is this slide is all about Shell Ridge, but are these changes common in all of the open space? I mean, Lime Ridge grazes.
yeah. So we will. It's the same deal. We'll have. So we have two ranchers that ranch out in the open space. Ginocchio and Daesh. Ginocchio takes care of the southern Lime Ridge area, and then Daesh ranches in Shell, and then the North Lime. So North Lime, same deal. There's not going to be any electrical fencing. There was never electrical fencing used in South Lime. That was always kind of an open grazed area. Ginocchio didn't want to have to deal with the electrical fencing, so it's a lot of work for the ranchers to be able to manage it. You don't see, I don't know of any other cases where public agencies are using the electrical fencing. So it was something we tried out for a bit, and we believe that we can manage the grazing in the trail system and keep the trail system safe and everybody happy out there without having to use electrical fencing. So.
There were a few years there, heavy rain years there, where we had quite a bit of trail damage that
Yeah.
required, made the trails unusable. What was the grazing period different during those years?
Yeah, this was just before my time, but to my understanding, there were cows out there during the winter months that caused that damage. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, cows on single tracks are going to cause some damage. There's going to be some maintenance to it, to the level that it was when it's wet out there. No, you won't see that again. I mean, you get indented hoof marks that are 3 or 4 inches, and so we want to avoid that. We don't want to have to spend hours and hours as staff maintaining those areas, especially in that clay soil, because it's pretty difficult to maintain. So. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that we can avoid that happening. Any other grazing questions? It was a hot topic. All right, infrastructure improvement projects. We've done a number of these over the years. We average probably 1 to 2 new kiosks over the last few years. Several were just pretty worn down, and the new design is more uniform. There's space for information on both the front and the back. That bottom right-hand photo is staff putting the roof onto the kiosk. So we've had new kiosks go in over the last couple of years at Sutherland, at Marshall, at Hannah Lane. Probably another 2 that I'm missing, but yeah, a lot of those. Top right picture of a retaining wall that staff had put in. So there's been 2 retaining walls, big retaining walls that have gone in at Borges Ranch. Pretty happy about how those turned out. The pergola structure in the photo on the left is a project we did with the Rotary Club of Walnut Creek, and this was done last summer. So the construction of that was, the plan was done with the Rotary Club. They helped us build it. Staff and the Rotary Club went out there over the course of 2 days and put up two new pergola structures at Sugarloaf. And that photo is a photo of us prepping the pad. We did a nice DG pad that went down. And so it's a nice addition to the picnic area. We do a lot of picnics and campers and stuff at Sugarloaf Open Space, and it's been a big hit, especially in the summertime. They do provide a little bit of shade. They're a nice addition to the picnic area. All right, restoration efforts. So staff has been focused on most recently shutting down certain trail segments and offshoots in the quarry area in Lime Ridge, and that is the circled area in the photograph on the map there. And we've added a number of fences to prevent basically activity on those trails. So we're really focused on shutting these areas down. We try to do this before we get into the rainy season, because if we can keep traffic off and people off when we get into the wet season, we see some really good regrowth, and then you get a few seasons of that and we see these areas really jump back to what they should look like. And so that's the focus right now in terms of restoration and closing is in this quarry area. Yeah.
Would you mind explaining a little bit more about I mean, there's people that are on bikes that are creating these trails, but could you just maybe expand on it a little bit? Like, I know there's a history of
Yeah.
people kind of creating rogue trails, but why that's not safe, and just, you know.
So it's unsustainable. These routes that people will make are not maintained, and when you get a little bit of water heading down these certain areas, they just get indented, and the erosion kicks up, and it gets progressively worse over the years, especially if you don't take any action to really keep people off or shut them down or do something to retain that soil. And so the first step is to keep people off and keep people from using areas, and we'll add erosion control walls if we want to really retain the soil in certain areas, and do what we can to help either plants start to reroot and regrow there, and then once the plants kind of come back in, they do a good job of retaining that soil for you. But like I said, the first step is to keep people off, and a lot of these routes that we're shutting down, they're not only are they not sustainable, they're fairly unsafe too. We've had a number of accidents out in this particular area. So we're looking out for safety reasons and restoration purposes as well. Yeah. So going back to looking at some of the areas we had previously closed, as you can see, the trail on the left was an area that had been opened up to mountain bike. Well, not legally opened up, but it had been an area where mountain bikes would ride, and they've been riding, some people will tell you, for 20, 30 years on that particular trail. It was really tore up, so you can see what a bad unmaintained trail will look like after several years. And it was 20 feet wide in certain sections, maybe even larger, and big canyons and ruts running through there. But like I explained, if you keep people off and you allow vegetation to come back, that's what it looks like after 4 years on the right. So we're really happy with how a lot of these areas that we've focused on over the last several years have turned out and how they look now. It's a world difference, and we're really, really happy to see the progress we've made out there. All right, invasive weed management. This is a big focus of staff in the summertime. Our three main weeds that we have been focusing on is Ditrichia. Why am I drawing a blank on the name of this? Artichoke thistle, thank you. Ditrichia, artichoke thistle, and then Jimson weed. Jimson weed's not pictured here. Ditrichia especially spreads very rapidly. So does the artichoke thistle. So we probably spend maybe 1 to 2 months out of the summertime focusing on removing these weeds. We had a pretty good handle on the situation, I think, really started focusing on them over the last couple years. There's certain spots where they keep coming back, but we're hoping that, but in the next few years that workload diminishes. Yeah, so that's been a focus of ours recently.
You have to do
Corey,
it all by hand? Sorry.
So we have been the Ditrichia, yeah, all by hand. We found that if you mow it or cut it down, it'll come back. So you really got to pull the root systems up. The artichoke thistle, you can spray and then kill down into the root system. So targeted spraying with the artichoke thistle has seemed to work pretty well, and then pulling Ditrichia out by hand has been our method.
Any way to use like sheep to at certain times of year to help with some of this?
Logistically, probably not for these, just because they're so spread out. And I don't know. I'd have to talk to a goat person to see if they even would like to eat this kind of stuff. You might just get them out there and they just focus on everything else and not eat that stuff. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you there, but they need water, and so a lot of these locations are pretty obscure and out there and not easily reached. So having goats or sheep out there might not work. But we're doing a pretty good job in-house. I know that if you look at our area compared to some other cities, we're doing a pretty good job just over the boundary. You can see quite a difference between Lime Ridge, Concord versus Lime Ridge. So we're going to talk to them about maybe helping them out and a little bit with the artichoke thistle, because we do get the seeds that come over from they don't know the boundaries. Okay, so trail work, my favorite time of the year. We're just starting to get into it right now. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we really focused on improving the trail system in terms of adding drainage dips. Going back before my time, the trail system was graded by the fire department yearly, and there was a slight amount of outsloping done, but never any drainage dips. So what you ended up with trails with a lot of problems. So we've turned away from that type of management and started just taking care of all of our trails in-house. And we've done so with the use of some heavy equipment. We've gone through and added a lot of drainage dips in certain areas to really direct water off of the trail. And these drainage dips, they require a little bit of maintenance yearly, but for the most part, once they're in and you maintain them a little bit here and there, they do a really good job diverting water off the trail, and they save you a lot of work and money in the long term. So that's been a big focus of ours. There's still a few areas that we need to add some of these, but I think it took us about 2 seasons to really go through and add all the drainage dips that we wanted to really to make an impact.
Is that like just for double track, or do you do single tracks too? Or?
You can do drainage dips on single tracks too.
Yeah.
These photos, the heavy equipment obviously is only used on the double tracks on the fire roads, but yeah, same type of methods are used on single tracks, just to a smaller scale. So we do a lot of that as well. And you in the past, drainage dips and stuff have been installed on single tracks, just never on the fire roads. So it's just kind of traditional part of your trail work. Drainage dips, nicks, grade reversals, stuff like that. So recently, before we get into the big winter storms, there's some prep work we've been doing yearly in terms of adding wattles and jute netting. In the picture in the bottom right, if you look close, there is jute netting. There's certain areas where sustainable drainage dips, they just aren't, you can't take the water anywhere. It's just going to go straight downhill. And really the only thing you can do is try to slow it down and help retain that soil the best you can. And so a method we've used recently is added some jute netting in those areas that we know are going to rut. It does a pretty good job of slowing the water down, keeping the soil in place. So far I'm liking how that's turning out for us. And then the wattle on the bottom left, we add those in certain areas also to help reinforce some of our drainage dips, but also sort of direct that water off the trail instead of running straight down it. So we're finding these methods to be very helpful for us. What we want to avoid is what you see in the photo on the top right is those giant ruts. And that was from a storm. That was right when we kind of just started putting in drainage dips and hadn't really got to everything. That was that that New Year's Eve storm, I think, when we got like 8 inches or so of rain. And you ended up with ruts like that throughout the open space. And so we're trying to avoid having issues like that again. And so far we've been pretty good. We'll see. Okay. As you guys know, it was the 50-year anniversary this year. We had a number of events to help commemorate that, the 50-year anniversary. And get to my notes here. Oh yeah, so we had the open space history exhibit that was opened up at Shadelands. It was open from June through October, and the ladies over there did a really great job of setting that up. It was really cool to see the history, and they put information on the Rangers, and it was a cool event. And I'm sure a lot of people that went and visited Shadelands during that time got to learn a little bit about the open space. So that was really cool. We also had a Borges Ranch Day back in June as well. I think we had somewhere between 500 to 1,000 people show up at Borges Ranch, and had pony rides and 4-H's out there with their animals, and having people pet them, and we even had a mechanical bull. So it was a good time. Oh yeah, and we'll be capping off the 50-year anniversary by planting 50 oak trees out in the open space. So that's next for us. All right, so upcoming projects, fencing. Seems like there's always some more fencing work to be done out in the open space. We will be extending the Fossil Hill split rail fencing. There's about 400 feet of additional fencing that will go in there to really close off access for the public in that particular restoration area. We will be removing some damaged fencing near Ginder Gap and doing a restructuring of that area to take away 2 gates down to 1. And that'll be in prep for cattle grazing as well, to allow for cattle grazing over there in the north side of Shell Ridge. And then also the new fencing will be more wildlife friendly. Traditionally, they've used the 5-strand barbed wire. With the new fencing, the bottom and top strand will be barbless. And we're looking to have scouts or somebody willing to add some wildlife markers, so that the fence is more visible to birds and wildlife as they're passing through. So just ways to make our fencing a little more wildlife friendly.
Corey, is the top right Fossil Hill?
Yes, sir.
And is the fence, is it going to kind of just hug the road? I'm just curious where.
Yeah. It kind of hugs the road and just kind of lines that restoration area. So it stops in an area where you can just skirt around it right now, and so the idea is to kind of close it off a little bit better. All right, more upcoming projects. We're planning to update our maps in the near future. There are a couple trail segments that were identified by the trail committee as trails that should be removed and restored, including the Bronco Butte Trail segment, and then also a segment of the Summit Ridge Trail. So both of those areas have been marked and closed, and we are seeing a lot more plant regrowth on those areas that have been closed, especially on Bronco Butte. You can't even tell it's a trail anymore. Part of the reason for closing that one down is it just led up to a dead end, and folks were supposed to turn around and come back. Obviously, not too many people do that when they're out in the open space, so they would just continue down to the Hannah Lane trailhead, and then the backside of that was really just steep and unsustainable and wasn't maintained, and there was a lot of ruts, and so closing down that trail was a good thing. And then same with the Summit Ridge Trail. That one was shut down, and there was there was down from the viewpoint, if you've hiked that trail, it's really sketchy and dangerous. So that one was really closed down for safety purposes. So updating the map to remove those trail segments from it, and then also we're looking at potentially opening up 2 social trails that have been in existence for 20 or so plus years, very widely used by a lot of different folks. One in Shell Ridge, and then one in the quarry area in Lime. And we're working through the process to further evaluate and potentially open those up in the future. All right, more upcoming projects. Bram Hall Pond. This was an area that was identified kind of along with the wetland improvement project along Indian Creek. Initially, we were thinking about doing this at the same time, but really it's a little bit bigger of a project in terms of desilting. And so we're looking at adding a hardened crossing where the pond outflows into Indian Creek. And we're also looking at deepening it by 3 or 4 feet in the middle, and then 1 to 2 maybe on the outskirts, and just doing some desilting to help this area retain water for longer. So pretty excited about this one, and it should help restore and improve that habitat quite a bit. So it's a beautiful pond when it's full, and we want to keep it full for longer. All right, and lastly, so Open Space Foundation, they're partners of ours. They have a lot of great projects out in the open space. You know, their projects are really an extension of the maintenance that we do out there. They remove a lot of invasive species, invasive plants, and really help by planting a lot of natives out there. So really proud to partner with them. The work that they do, it should be recognized, especially the Rock Oak, Bayberry, Deer Lake, the Oak Restoration Project, and then also what we have going on around Fossil Hill. So we appreciate the effort that they put in. And I think that is all that I have for you guys. So, any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things. Corey mentioned a number of our partners. I think they're worth mentioning again. The Resource Conservation District has helped with a number of these projects in terms of securing the permitting and also providing funding. Some of these projects actually require some permitting. We'll work through Fish and Wildlife. EQIP, which is if I understand it correctly, it's a federal funding source that's contributed money to several of these projects. The foundation themselves have contributed tens of thousands of dollars, never mind all the thousands of man hours, but the dollars really go a long ways, including all the rock that Corey was talking about, that 20 tons of rock. They paid for, I think, all of that rock, if not the vast majority of it. A lot of the fencing around Sutherland, they paid for a lot of that fencing. So they've been great partners. And obviously, we couldn't do a lot of this work without the Park and Lieu funding that is brought in from developers. That's where the vast majority of these projects are being funded, is out of Park and Lieu. So I guess with that being said, I'll open it up to questions.
I have one. I think we have some sort of outreach program to the schools related to Borges Ranch. Is that right?
School programs at Borges
Yeah.
Ranch? Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Do we do any in the open space, like on ecology or biology or anything like that? Or really is it focused more on the history at Borges?
Our programs are, the only real one that we have actively is the history program at Borges Ranch, and those are the school field trips. And to update you guys on that, we do on average about 2 a week during the school year. So we're getting towards the end of that one. It quiets down in December. It'll pick back up. We start doing more programs in March. So March, April, May, we'll do quite a bit. And we have docents that help us lead those tours as well.
And do we subsidize, does the city subsidizes it in some way, like they?
So the tours, they are $150 per class, and we take those payments from the schools. So it's not subsidized by the city in any way. Yeah, it's just,
I was just curious.
Yeah.
But nothing else like in the watershed or?
no, we
Open
don't.
space
You know,
or-
we do night hikes and we'll
Right.
do some.
Right, I've seen that in the rec guide.
Yeah,
okay.
but no real like ecology-based programs.
Okay.
The foundation, I think they touch on that kind of stuff a little bit with some of the work that they do, but no real program like that in the open space.
Thanks.
Corey, you have a sense of usage from this year to last year? Whether it's mountain biking or hiking or just, I know you guys don't do a census or anything, but
No, it's normal, I would say. Yeah, like compared to what times were like just in 2020 and 2021 and things really started to level out in 22, 23 and then like usage there are busy days out there, but it's not anything crazy. It's fairly average. We are looking to add some trail counters out there to really get an idea of how many people are using certain trails. And so that is something that is kind of in the works right now. So get a better idea and some actual numbers to be able to share with you guys.
have you, we had that, the poppies
Yeah.
issue from earlier this year. Have you guys come up with it? I think we kind of left it as to we were going to try and dial back the amount of poppies that are planted out there, or have you guys prepared for that, or is that more of an open space foundation thing, or?
It's a partnership. I'll let Mike speak on that one.
So we met with the foundation, the county traffic engineers, city traffic engineers, and the neighborhood a couple weeks ago. Was our third meeting. We have what I would say is a pretty sound plan in place, which includes a lot of signage, adding some gates, providing barricades for the property owners to put out in front of their property with signage. We haven't come up with the language that's going to go on the signage just yet. We have large digital message boards that will be at the beginning of the street and at the end up by a little parking lot that's up there, informing people. We're going to try and do our best through social media to steer people away from that particular area. In regards to the planting, they're not planting poppies. They are planting native plants in areas that have already been prepped. And there was some debate back and forth with that. And at the end of the day, if you don't plant those areas and you just leave them bare, the poppy seeds will blow and grow. And so if you plant the natives, they'll outcompete the poppies and keep that poppy population in check. Yeah. And, the foundation was at the meeting. The foundation definitely understands the challenge and is going to be looking into removing poppies that are, dense areas in certain locations. And it's one of the reasons we put the fence in, is to keep people out of the area. We have what we refer to as kind of maintenance openings in the fence that go up to maintenance pathways. And we've closed those off. We're locking them. Corey's working on some additional signage to keep people out. The project started, and the focus of the project is to improve the environment. It's not for people to come in from all over the Bay Area to view the poppies. It'd be great if they'd come and use the trails and walk around and really get the real experience. They're there for the photo shoot, and we want to be sensitive to the impact of the neighbors. So continue to work through it.
Not a question, just a comment. I wanted to compliment Mike and the maintenance staff and Corey and your group of rangers and the workers that are out there a lot. You've accomplished a tremendous amount in 2024 and in the years leading up to that since the pandemic. So compliments to really making progress on a lot of things that had been planned but not previously done. So that's great, and keep up the work and let us know what we can do to help.
Thank you. We appreciate it. There's a lot more work to do out there, but very happy with the progress we made for sure.
Can I add one thing I forgot to bring up earlier? Just a brief update on what's going on with the Rec and Aquatic Center. I should have had that in my PowerPoint, and I just left it out. So we're making great progress with the design. We're down to identifying the right location for drinking fountains. And so we've really got it dialed in. We're hoping to get the project out to bid late spring, sometime in the summer. We've had there are some challenges with the permitting side of things. You know, we have to deal with we're dealing with the Corps of Engineers, the federal government, who then drags in the federal Fish and Wildlife, dealing with local Fish and Wildlife and the Water Board. And to secure those permits is something we're going to be able to accomplish. It just their timeline might not. They may not have the same priorities that we do in terms of timelines. As you can imagine, they have a lot of projects coming in. In fact, I was talking to our contact with Fish and Wildlife, and there's normally 2 of them that oversee all the projects in Contra Costa County, and there's only 1 person. And she has dozens and dozens and dozens of projects. So they're doing the best they can. We're doing the best we can, but we're getting through it. So.
Hey, Mike, backtracking a bit, Indian Creek Pond, as it, you know, Indian Creek flows into Indian Creek Pond, which is right below Indian Valley School. And then from there, Indian Creek meanders its way through a neighborhood before it dumps into Lake Lakewood. Does the city have the right of way to walk the creek as it goes from, you know, Indian Creek down into Lake Lakewood? Because there was a big project last year, as a result of last winter, redoing the roadway from Indian Creek flows under Lakewood Circle to then into Lake Lakewood. Does the city have the ability to walk that trail prior to winter to see, you know, trees that have fallen or debris or neighbors who've thrown things into that creek? Just curious.
Yeah, it's actually a project Corey took on at least for the last couple of years. I know last year was pretty intense in terms of dragging out a bunch of logs and debris and those things. You want to expand a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, so to the extent where the open space boundary ended, once you get past Indian Valley Pond, the creek sort of meanders in and out of private property and city property. So we went through there and we did a lot of clearing and debris removal just to the point where it was very clear that we were in somebody's backyard and it didn't make sense to go any further without intruding onto somebody's private property. So beyond that, I don't know what the creek bed looks like. So, but we've done what we can in the open space and those areas that kind of are borderline.
I bring this up because PG&E came through with their contracted tree removal place, and when they cut down a tree, they don't remove. They send the homeowner a letter saying, "Hey, your trees are near a power line," but they don't remove so they cut down the tree, the stumps and debris falls right there, which is frequently right next to the creek. They don't remove any of it. They just dump it and leave. And so I've already seen it because I live in Lakewood area. So anyway, PG&E's been great about, you know, contracting with their tree company to remove this stuff or to cut down trees that hit power lines, but they don't get rid of what they cut down. They just leave it there. So just a heads up, FYI.
Yeah, and we have drainage ditches all around the city, and we send out somewhere close to 1,000 letters a year. We just call them ditch letters to remind people that the winter storms are coming and that they have certain responsibilities for those ditches. I know a lot of the people. I'm going to get my directions mixed up. I would say just north of Indian Valley School, or actually in the county. But I'm going to check with the staff to see if we can also send them ditch letters, because at the end of the day, if it builds up at that far end, it's going to impact the open space. And so there might be an opportunity to at least make them aware, because some of these properties are so large, and they might have a chain link fence here, but not know that they have another 50 to 70 feet that crosses that creek that's actually their property. And so they just, you know, if you're a new resident, you might not know exactly where your property line is. So we'll look into that.
So just add, we have a lot of really old residents who just don't take care of their property, either don't have the finances or the, the capability of walking their property. So just my 2 cents.
Any other questions, comments? I'll get you. Yeah. No, you're good. Well, we'll call for public comment now if anybody has something to say in regards to what we just heard. Now's your time. Well, hold on, Barbara. If you're gonna, you got to come up and say, yep. It's not us, it's the people at home.
You're on TV.
Okay. Yeah, I know thousands of people. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Corey for the presentation. I learned some things. Great. Not that I know everything. And I even saw Jack the other day pulling out the trachea over by the Valley Vista parking area. So told Leslie Hunt about that. And we were all real happy. So, okay. And then the other thing I just saw today, that jute netting. My husband and I were going for a jog, and it's like, oh, what's this stuff? So I think, I just saw it in your picture. And
Barbara, I'm going to be that guy. Could you?
oh yeah, okay, sorry. And then Fran's comment, I also noticed, as I went over to Shell Ridge for once instead of just Lime Ridge, and I saw some of the new signs that you had up. In fact, I just saw one. I can't even tell you what location it is. It's somewhere by Ginder Gap. So thanks for that. And Fran brought up a comment about Native American signs. And I know I saw that in the documentation for all the changes at the golf course. And they said it'll be in the future somewhere where Native American signs, but Mike mentioned something today. So is it going to happen soon?
Yes. How soon, I don't know. The tribes are, I don't know how to describe it, I would say understaffed.
Yeah.
And have a lot of different projects going on. But we are 100% committed to getting the information out there.
I think that'd be great, because that's always a thing I think about when I'm up there. You got trails called the Loney Trail, and, what about the people that lived here a long time ago? So anyway, thank you very much, and I enjoyed your presentation. Thank you.
Any other further comment, questions? Seeing none? Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Corey. Thank you to your respective staffs for all the work you guys do. And it shows, and it's very much appreciated. So let's move on. Next on the agenda is an item for the commission consideration of the pros commission, staff report, yes. Is that right? Yeah. We're going to talk about city council priority setting. We have been asked to identify some key issues that we can kick upstairs to the city over the next 2 years. And so we're going to have a presentation, then give our comments and what we think.
Great. Mike Vickers, once again, this presentation, as Chair Moran mentioned, takes place every couple years. It's an opportunity for all of the commissions to provide input to the council goal session, which is going to kick off in February of this year. Several of you participated in this. I think all 4 of you that are closest to me participated in this about 2 years ago. And as part of the staff report, we wanted to include what the current priorities are, and I'll just go through them quickly. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, economic development and job creation, environmental sustainability and climate action, parks, facilities, and other infrastructure, and lastly is public safety and social wellness. And I was back, as you know, most of you know, I'm relatively new doing this, and so I was back reviewing the presentation that Heather gave a couple years ago. And 3 of the 5 current priorities were the same back for 22-23. So DEI moved forward. DEI moved forward. Infrastructure and facilities moved forward, and so did public safety and social wellness. And just as a reminder, I actually took some notes on some of your comments from 2 years ago, and I just thought I'd share them. It might help a little bit as part of this discussion. Top goals were Your Park, Your Future, a strong focus on the open space and its sustainability, developing educational programs, equity sharing of limited resources, continuing environmental goals in the open space, funding trail maintenance, enhancing wildlife and plants, and also public safety within the open space, creek restoration, and lastly was, in terms of any new buildings in the city, we should strongly be considering sustainable buildings and recycling materials if buildings are being demolished. So that's just, do you have the clicker by chance? Those are just some examples of what came up last year. If you look through the actual descriptions, I'm not going to read all this to you, obviously, but it's also in your staff report. A lot of the comments that this commission made a couple years ago made it into these goals. And so this is an opportunity, and you know, I'd like to open it up for you guys to discuss or share some input that we'll then track and bring back to the commission. I think they're meeting on February 25th, and which by the way is an open meeting, which everyone is welcome to attend. So I'll turn that over.
I would say just a quick note for my fellow commissioners too. Like our lane is parks and open space, but don't be shy about city priorities that you feel important, that you want to bring to light as well. Does anybody have anything to say that kick it off?
Is this, these are very, we're sort of drilling down into these specific topics, is that correct?
We are putting our thoughts together regarding what the city council's priorities should be for the next 2 years. This is the previous 2 years that they've been focused on. If you agree with these, that's fine too, but these are now 2 years old, and the issue is, what is the city council going to focus on the next 2 years, and what's our thoughts on that?
And I would just add, and that's why some of these have carried forward 2 cycles, is because there's a lot of work here, and some of these are DEI, for example, is a top priority, and that work is probably never going to stop, and so they want to keep reinforcing their priorities and providing direction.
So since I'm new to the commission, I put out a request or a ask on Nextdoor, asking the Walnut Creek residents what their vision is for kind of in the pros jurisdiction, the purview, the priorities. Obviously, I heard, about the new aquatics and community center. That's a big thing, and folks are interested, engaged, wanting to know the progress, like the timeline, when is the construction is going to start, when it's going to be complete. The other thing that was kind of new that they brought up is the ask about community gardens, and I thought that might be a good point to think about, connecting multi-generation, the youth in Walnut Creek, seniors, and it could be a DIA angle as well, and also the social wellness of our community at large. So I just want to put that out there.
I would like to reiterate the educational one, hence the question to Corey. I know there's a lot of schools that really like to have opportunities for field trips, and I think, we do have a really wonderful resource in our open space. And even some of the parks have features where you could do like a creek study or, things like that with small kids. I know when I was at the Water District and I was overseeing the watershed, we had a very robust education program, and I'm telling you, they clamored for those field trips. You know, there's a limited number, so not everyone could have one, but you know what I mean? There was really a lot of interest in that. And I think that it's always important to give opportunities to kids. And, you know, we should focus probably on the schools in Walnut Creek, but it's kind of a regional resource, even though it's owned and managed by the city. So potentially opportunities to meet some of these other goals, like, you know, like the DEI goals and the sustainability goals and things like that. And my other point I just wanted to make was, you know, we look at these and they're different colored boxes, but so many of these really overlap and interweave. And I hope that the city looks at them that way, you know, when they are developing budgets for the departments and the projects and things like that. So I don't know, do you guys have to say, oh, we want this project and it meets these goals in these different categories? Or, I mean, do you show that integration when you're sort of justifying projects?
We have. Most of that is discussed with the executive team, so I don't know exactly the conversations that they have, but there's a reason, and it was kind of interesting when I first realized what was going on, but the goals are for 2 calendar years as opposed to our budgets are fiscal year. And so they always do it just after the election. So if there's a new council member, he gets to weigh in on the goals. And so the goal setting, I got the dates wrong a minute ago, it's actually February 11th, their meeting. And the new council member will have an opportunity to share his input and also hear from the other commissions along with all the other council members. So they'll set them in February, and then I believe they're active just before the budget as part of the budgeting process, is my understanding.
Just wanted to comment about that process too. I had the opportunity to attend the last 2 sessions, and I found it really good exercise in seeing where the various council members come from and what they're thinking and how they go about their prioritization for all the things that are being suggested. So if you have the opportunity to show up for that on the 11th, I highly recommend it.
No, I have nothing to report as of now. Sorry.
I'll take a crack. A couple things that I think are important is now that we have kind of a lot of the heavy lifting done with the infrastructure at Heather Farm Park, I think a continued focus on other larger infrastructure projects and getting the ball fields done, the all-weather fields, the lights at Tice Creek. Those are all on the docket, and I understand that. But we have an opportunity, I think, to think bigger, too, in terms of infrastructure, like just making sure that we're more bikeable, and people then can get to the brand-new swim and community center and don't necessarily have to contend with traffic on YVR. Or if they do have to contend with traffic, we can maybe figure out some ways that traffic is not as bad with other measures in place. And I also think a focus on our parks, specifically the parks centered around downtown over the next couple years, in that because the population growth is going to expand in our downtown area. And I think having people who are in multifamily units, who don't want to get in the car to drive, who want to go to the civic park, to Commissioner Pinkstaff's point, maybe something where like a community garden downtown or something like that. And we think in terms of making people's quality of life who live in their urban center also park friendly, so to speak. And then the other thing I'll point out is that I know it's not a secret that there's an uptick of unhoused people in some of our parks. And I know the city's doing a good job of making sure these people have a place to go if they need to, but it's something that I have heard of, and I think that that's something to be vigilant about, because especially as the population grows in our city center, we want to make sure that people are safe
whether they're just in the parks or they're worried about where their next meal is going to come from. Oh, and more trees. That would be great too. That was my only other note. Anybody else?
Yeah, I like your comments, Brendan. I'll play off that last one, that the safety and parks in the civic center, so to speak. I think enhancement or improvement of the creek restoration or city involvement in that, more active involvement, would also be an attraction for the city residents in many ways, and those that will live there, live downtown, and those that live elsewhere even. I think there's an opportunity to improve, and this kind of goes in the public safety area. I think there's an opportunity to have new measures to help avoid the vandalism that's going on in our parks, particularly the carving up of playing fields and other things that happen. And the parallel to that is the carving up of the open space, sometimes by various individuals, some of whom are bikers, but other things as well. So any new measures that we could use to improve or prevent those types of activities, and I think that's appropriate from a public safety perspective. There was one other thing. This is a small point, but I did notice in the documentation we had that the conversion to electric leaf blowers by the maintenance staff, particularly downtown, but also in other parks throughout the city as well, and through the sustainability goal, I think we can look at the next steps. What else can we do in terms of those things we use for maintenance equipment that could be converted to a battery or electrical device? And I think it's noticeable in the parks when you're exercising or doing something, and all of a sudden the lawnmower comes flying by or whatever it is. And along with that is usually a whole boatload of emissions and exhaust. And I think we ought to start to look at other opportunities to get those things permanently replaced by something that doesn't cause those emissions and health issues. So those are my 3 cents.
Well, as it relates to this commission and infrastructure, I'll bring up the heated pickleball topic. I was the chair of the pickleball task force, where we had half dozen meetings or so with neighbors and the Walnut Creek Pickleball Club. Mike, you'd attend a number of those meetings. Kevin Safine was in all of those meetings. We had lots of negotiations and subgroups that came back and reported various successes and some not so successful things as it relates to alternatives. And I know the council is working, through this. You said city manager is under his the ball's in his court, so to speak. But it is a big topic, and I wasn't really going to bring it up, but we did in October. Walnut Creek, through our pickleball, it was Rossmore, but we made national and international news as a result of the Rossmore pickleball incident that occurred. And when we don't have the days that we do not have pickleball at Rudgear, that puts pressure on all the other courts in the area, particularly Rossmore and Lafayette and I believe Danville. I believe they've got some things going on at Osage Park, but these are very, we have a robust retirement community, and there's a lot. That's why we talk about. We're on Pros Commission, right? We talk about these things and the open space. I mean, people want to live here during retirement, and it's so that pickleball is a very popular sport for the retired folks, but also the working people, and now the younger folks. The high schools have pickleball as an option in their as a sport for their PE classes. So it's not going away. It's still a really growing sport, and I know we don't have an easy solution to these problems. We talked about Tice Valley, and it sounds like we're moving ahead with building the lighting for the soccer field, which means we won't be able to relocate, because we talked about relocating some of those things for pickleball at Tice Valley. Anyway, long story short, pickleball.
Any other comments? No other comments. We're going to take public comment. You want to give it a third time's charm, Barbara? Are you good? Okay. Seeing no other public comment, I'll throw it back once more to my commissioners. Any last thoughts on any guidance for our city council in the next 2 years? We're not going to take a motion or anything like that. So I think I saw Secretary Vickers furiously writing down everything that we were saying. Where are we here? All right, moving on then. Are there any commissioners' reports?
Well, I am supposed to be the representative for the Pros Commission representative for the Walnut Creek Open Space Foundation, which takes place at 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the rec yard. Is that what they call it, the rec yard?
Corporation Yard, yep.
Corporation Yard. And it's a fantastic group of hardworking folks. Given the timing of day, it's once a month, but I was not always able to make as many meetings as I wanted to. Chair Moran filled in for me one Friday, but we are looking for another representative, and I understand we do have a commission member who might be interested in that. And so I will send an email to the president of the KIME, right? And copy you as being the new representative to
Commissioner Pink's staff, just
Commissioner
so
Pink's.
you're pointing in that
Yes,
direction.
I'm sorry, I forgot the last name. It was Pink or Green. So you'll be. Well, it's the Walnut Creek Open Space, so Green staff works too. So, so yes, thank you very much, and I know they'll really appreciate having you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And not to give short shrift to the Walnut Creek Senior Club and its new liaison, Commissioner Garland. Congratulations. Any staff reports?
Yes, just two quick reports. I mentioned earlier that I was going to provide a little bit more information on the tree grant, the federal tree grant from the U.S. Forestry that we've been working on for probably about a year now. It's not a significant amount of money, but it's definitely enough to get us moving forward in a master plan, is what our focus is. It's about $100,000. Concord made a request and got about $1 million. So this is a good start for us. These grants come out almost annually. So once we have an opportunity to put this master plan together, it'll be a good start for us moving forward. Go ahead, Fran.
You didn't ask for enough money in the grant.
That's correct. We did not. Fran knows how this works. And I think I might have mentioned offline that there's been a little slow in the funding due to the federal transition, the government. So we're anticipating getting the funding sometime in the first quarter. And that my second and last update is I forgot to put this on the consent calendar, but all of you have a council and commission calendar. And I just want to let the community or anybody who's listening know that we provided these to you, and we will add it to the minutes so that people can get access to it in the future. And besides that, it's also online if you're in need of it. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you for everyone for coming, and for those watching at home, this adjourns the December 2nd, 2024 Pros Commission regular meeting, and we're adjourned until February 3rd, 2025. Thank you.